Did you know some of history's most intense wars lasted only days or even minutes? Let's dive into the top 10 shortest wars ever. Third Anglo-Maratha War, 1807 to 1818. The Third Anglo-Maratha War, lasting approximately 5 months from 1817 to 1818, was a decisive conflict that ended the Maratha Empire and secured British dominance in India. The Marathas, once a formidable power in India, had been in decline due to internal strife and previous conflicts with the British East India Company. By 1817, tensions reached a boiling point as the British sought to eliminate the Maratha threat and consolidate their control over the subcontinent. The war began in November 1817 when British forces launched a series of coordinated attacks on Maratha strongholds across central and western India. The British utilized superior military tactics and technology to overcome Maratha resistance, winning decisive battles at Khadki and Koregaon. By early 1818, the Maratha leaders were forced to surrender, signing treaties that dissolved the Maratha Confederacy and ceded significant territory to the British. The Third Anglo-Maratha War marked the end of an era in Indian history and paved the way for nearly a century of British colonial rule. This conflict underscores the impact of colonial expansion and the shifting balance of power in the Indian subcontinent during the 19th century. Spanish-American War, 1898. In 1898, the Spanish-American War erupted, lasting just over 3 months and reshaping the global balance of power. Tensions between the United States and Spain had been building for years, fueled by American support for Cuban independence and sensationalist journalism known as Yellow Press. The tipping point came on February 15, 1898, when the USS Maine exploded in Havana Harbor. Although the cause was unclear, the event galvanized American public opinion against Spain. On April 25th, the U.S. declared war, launching a series of naval and land campaigns across Spanish territories in the Caribbean and the Pacific. The U.S. Navy quickly asserted its dominance, destroying the Spanish fleet in battles such as Manila Bay and Santiago de Cuba. On land, American forces, alongside Cuban and Filipino revolutionaries, captured key positions, forcing Spain to sue for peace by August. The Treaty of Paris, signed in December 1898, ended the war and ceded Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines to the United States, while granting Cuba independence. The Spanish-American War marked the emergence of the United States as a global power and signaled the decline of Spain's colonial empire. This brief conflict had far-reaching consequences, setting the stage for America's future interventions and its role as a major player on the world stage. Second Balkan War, 1913. In 1913, the Second Balkan War unfolded over just 33 days, altering the political landscape of Southeast Europe. The First Balkan War had ended with the Ottoman Empire losing much of its territory in Europe. However, the victors, Serbia, Greece, Bulgaria, and Montenegro, soon turned against each other over the spoils of war. Bulgaria, dissatisfied with its territorial gains, launched a surprise attack on its former allies Serbia and Greece in June 1913. The response was swift. Serbia and Greece, with support from Romania and the Ottoman Empire, quickly mobilized their forces against Bulgaria. Bulgaria found itself fighting on multiple fronts, unable to withstand the coordinated attacks. By the end of July, Bulgaria sought an armistice, and the Treaty of Bucharest was signed in August, redistributing territories and leaving Bulgaria with fewer gains than it had initially hoped for. The Second Balkan War exemplifies the volatility of alliances and the rapid shifts in power dynamics during periods of regional upheaval. This short but intense conflict set the stage for further instability in the Balkans, contributing to the tensions that would soon ignite World War I. Sino-Vietnamese War, 1979. The Sino-Vietnamese War of 1979 was a 27-day conflict between China and Vietnam, marking a period of intense regional tension in Southeast Asia. In 1978, Vietnam invaded Cambodia to oust the Khmer Rouge regime, a move that angered China, Cambodia's ally. China, under Deng Xiaoping, decided to teach Vietnam a lesson by launching a punitive invasion in February 1979. Chinese forces crossed the border, encountering fierce resistance from the battle-hardened Vietnamese troops. Despite initial gains, the Chinese military faced logistical challenges and stiff Vietnamese resistance. After 27 days of intense fighting, China declared its objectives met and withdrew its forces, leaving the border region heavily damaged. The Sino-Vietnamese War was as much about signaling geopolitical intentions as it was about territorial control. It highlighted the complexities of Cold War-era alliances and regional rivalries. The conflict left both sides claiming victory, but led to a prolonged period of tension and militarization along the Sino-Vietnamese border. This short but impactful war demonstrated the intricacies of international relations and the ongoing struggle for influence in Southeast Asia. Second Anglo-Zulu War, 1879. Now let's turn to the Second Anglo-Zulu War of 1879, a 27-day confrontation that pitted the British Empire against the Zulu Kingdom. The British sought to expand their control over southern Africa and saw the independent Zulu Kingdom as a threat to their colonial ambitions. In January 1879, British forces invaded Zululand, expecting a swift victory against what they perceived as a less organized foe. However, the Zulu warriors, led by King Setshwayo, mounted a fierce defense. The Battle of Isandlwana on January 22nd became one of the greatest victories for an indigenous force against a colonial power, with the Zulus inflicting heavy casualties on the British. Despite this victory, the Zulu were unable to sustain the fight against the superior numbers and technology of the British Army. By early July, after several more battles, the British managed to capture the Zulu capital of Ulundi, effectively ending the war. The Second Anglo-Zulu War serves as a reminder of the resilience and bravery of indigenous peoples in the face of colonial expansion, as well as the tragic consequences of imperial ambitions. Georgian-Armenian War, 1918. Our next conflict is the Georgian-Armenian War of 1918, a 24-day clash over disputed territories in the South Caucasus. In the aftermath of World War I and the Russian Revolution, the South Caucasus was a region in turmoil. The collapse of the Russian Empire left a power vacuum, and newly independent states like Georgia and Armenia found themselves at odds over border territories. The areas of Lori and Javakheti became flashpoints, with both nations claiming historical and strategic rights. In December 1918, hostilities erupted as Armenian forces attempted to seize control of these regions. Georgia responded with a military campaign to push back Armenian advances. The fighting was intense but short-lived. By the end of December, both sides agreed to a British-mediated ceasefire. The Treaty of Kars in 1921 would eventually settle the territorial disputes, but the brief war highlighted the fragility of newly independent states and the complexities of post-imperial border negotiations. The Georgian-Armenian War serves as an example of how regional tensions and historical grievances can ignite conflicts in the wake of larger geopolitical shifts. Serbo-Bulgarian War, 1885. The Serbo-Bulgarian War of 1885 was a brief but decisive conflict, lasting just 14 days, over Bulgaria's unification efforts. In 1885, Bulgaria declared the unification of eastern Rumelia with its territory, an act that upset the delicate balance of power in the Balkans. Serbia, under King Milan, saw the unification as a threat and declared war on Bulgaria in November 1885. The Bulgarian army, though initially outnumbered and less equipped, demonstrated remarkable resilience and tactical prowess. The pivotal battle occurred at Slivnica, where Bulgarian forces, using clever tactics and local knowledge, managed to repel the Serbian army. The quick and unexpected victory solidified Bulgaria's territorial claims and enhanced its status in the region. The Serbo-Bulgarian War is a testament to how strategic ingenuity and determination can overcome numerical disadvantages in warfare. Indo-Pakistani War, 1971. Next up is the Indo-Pakistani War of 1971, a conflict that lasted 13 days and led to the creation of Bangladesh. The roots of this war lay in the complex political and ethnic tensions between West Pakistan, now Pakistan, and East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. The people of East Pakistan had long felt marginalized and oppressed by the government in West Pakistan. In March 1971, a brutal crackdown by the Pakistani military on the Bengali population in East Pakistan escalated into widespread violence and a humanitarian crisis. India, under Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, supported the Bangladeshi independence movement, providing shelter to millions of refugees fleeing the violence. On December 3, 1971, Pakistan launched preemptive airstrikes against India, triggering a full-scale war. India responded with coordinated land, air, and naval assaults. Indian forces quickly gained the upper hand, advancing rapidly into East Pakistan. The decisive moment came when Indian troops surrounded Dhaka, leading to the surrender of the Pakistani military on December 16th. This victory not only marked the birth of Bangladesh as an independent nation, but also changed the geopolitical landscape of South Asia. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1971 is a poignant reminder of the enduring struggle for self-determination and the impact of international intervention in regional conflicts. Six-Day War, 1967. Next on our list is the remarkable Six-Day War of 1967, a conflict that lasted just 6 days but left an indelible mark on the Middle East. Tensions had been simmering for years between Israel and its neighbors, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. The stage was set for a confrontation that would redefine borders and reshape geopolitical dynamics. On June 5th, Israel launched a preemptive strike, targeting Egyptian airfields. Within hours, the Israeli Air Force had decimated much of Egypt's air capability, gaining crucial air superiority. The swift assault didn't stop there. Israeli forces advanced rapidly on multiple fronts. In the south, they pushed into the Sinai Peninsula, seizing control from Egyptian forces. In the east, they captured the West Bank from Jordan, and to the north, they took the strategic Golan Heights from Syria. The Six-Day War demonstrated the effectiveness of surprise and mobility in modern warfare. Israel's ability to swiftly execute its military strategy led to one of the most decisive victories in the history of warfare. By June 10th, a ceasefire was declared, with Israel having tripled the territory under its control. This victory changed the map of the Middle East and set the stage for ongoing conflicts and negotiations. The aftermath still resonates in the region today. The Six-Day War was not just a military triumph, it was a formative moment that had profound implications for the future of the Middle East. Anglo-Zanzibar War, 1896. And finally, the shortest war in history, the Anglo-Zanzibar War of 1896, lasting just 38 minutes. The conflict was sparked by the death of Sultan Hamad bin Thuwaini of Zanzibar on August 25, 1896. His successor, Sultan Khalid bin Bargash, ascended the throne without British approval, defying their influence over the region. The British, determined to uphold their interests, issued an ultimatum demanding Khalid's abdication. When the deadline passed on the morning of August 27th, British warships opened fire on the Sultan's palace. In less time than it takes to watch a TV show, the palace was in ruins and the Sultan had fled, leaving the British to install a new, more compliant ruler. The Anglo-Zanzibar War serves as a stark example of the power dynamics of imperialism, where military might could dictate political outcomes with astonishing speed. Though brief, this war underscores the often overlooked but critical role of swift military action in shaping colonial territories. These wars, though short in duration, had significant impacts on the regions and the countries involved. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more fascinating stories from the past.